J. White, the Master Coach Mentor, and special guest Jimi Letchford, who is a owner of CrossFit Ethos, not Ethos. It is CrossFit Ethos down there in Ladera Ranch, California. And now, everyone, your host, Garrett J. White.
Okay, so let's get this clean really quickly. For those who may have watched the Wake Up WOD video TV show that I do every single morning, my little from my iPhone power download, So it came to my awareness after about 3 or 4 months of doing this video that I have been mispronouncing the name of the gym that I actually go to. And I figured what better way to, say I'm sorry for mispronouncing the name of the gym than to bring the actual man who created both of these gyms, runs, and founded them onto our show today. So we're going to get to Jimmy here in just a second. My friends, as you welcome to Wake Up TV, it's your first time with us. We are introducing the idea here of fitness, not as a new concept, but we're going to be talking about CrossFit today with our guest, Jimi Letchford, the owner and founder of CrossFit Ethos, and we're going to discuss how that fits into what we call the Warrior's Way. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this concept of the Warrior's Way, let me break it down for you really quickly. And here's what it is. And we live in a world today, as men particularly, in which most guys have become what we call one-dimensional douchebags. Now, I'm going to lay out what this means, and that means that we become centrally focused on one thing, and we forget about all the rest. And it doesn't matter what time of day it is, or what time of year it is, or what time of life it is, we'll tend to get distracted and focused on one particular topic. We work really, really, really hard in our business, and then we let everything else fall apart in our bodies, in our beingness, in our spirituality, and in our balance for our relationship with our wife and our children. And or we then recoil to try to repair and rehab what's gone on in the body by ignoring it while we focus on business. And we focus all of our effort on the business, on the body, and while we let everything else fall apart. And then maybe the marriage is falling apart, so we focus all of our energy on marriage and family time at the demise of our business and of our body. And then maybe spiritually we're having questions or lack of certainty, and so we dive into personal development or spirituality or religion as an attempt to try to balance the game back out. And so the Warrior's Way to having it all is this simple premise, and that is what we talk about every single week here on Wake Up TV, which is you can have it all. Now, to have it all requires to have conversations across all 4 of these topics: body, being, balance, and business. And so every week here on Wake Up TV, we have a different focus. Today we're going to be on body, we're going to be on fitness, we're going to be on food, we're going to be talking about the gateway to having it all in one of our pillars, which is this idea of the body. Now, I got introduced to a sport here a number of years back. I call it a sport because, my goodness, it is for me. I had a chance to play collegiate football. I played professional football. I've done Ironman triathlons, ultramarathons. I've done pretty much something with my body from the time I was young, fitness-wise, and so I'm always looking for something new. A number of years back, in 2011, I got forwarded a YouTube video from a friend of mine, and it was a CrossFit Games video, and he said, "Dude, you should be doing this. You're like the fittest guy I know." So I go into a local CrossFit gym. I head out there, CrossFit Sandy, there in Sandy, Utah, and realized I was completely out of shape, had no idea what the hell I was doing, and no mobility, no flexibility, etc. I was an idiot within 2 months, not because of my trainers, not because of CrossFit, not because of box jumps, but because of my own inadequacies of myself, I guess, or stupidity you could call it. I stayed up all night one night and didn't work out, didn't warm up, didn't stretch, ran straight into the middle of a workout that was 10 minutes in, started doing box jumps, popped my Achilles tendon. So people will say to me, "Well, dude, you're blaming this, it's CrossFit's fault," and I have people tell me you should sue CrossFit. See, I told you it's CrossFit, and dude, I'm an athlete, I get this, which is I did not prepare myself and got jacked. So some of you know the first part of the story, which is I got into CrossFit, I was in for 2 months, got hurt, and was on crutches for the next 13 months with 3 major surgeries on my Achilles tendon getting back. The part that some of you didn't recognize was that I went back, and I didn't go back this time the same way I had come the first time. I came back with a mindset that has been very different. And when I moved here to Ladera Ranch, California, I got a chance to look at local CrossFit gyms, which are popping up all over the place, and I chose CrossFit Ethos.
Ethos.
No, CrossFit Ethos. There you go, buddy. I'm just making sure you're on your toes, buddy. Make sure you're on your toes. CrossFit Ethos. And went in for the first class with one of our trainers. His name was Roman, who works as part of the team there, and had an amazing experience. And I've noticed over the last 4 months, just the programming alone has transformed my body, more shredded, more fit, more confident, and more capable in CrossFit than I've ever been. So I am a passionate fanatic, cult follower of CrossFit. I believe there's a lot of other ways of fitness, but today we're going to have, obviously, a conversation around CrossFit as a fitness opportunity. But, Jimmy, we're going to start off the show today with an apology. The apology is the mispronunciation of your gym about 65 times in 65 different videos. But you have my commitment. After today's show, this is it. This is like a rebirth for me. I'm gonna start over. I'm like a recovering guy, mispronunciation guy. So, dude, let's start off with the question. Introduce yourself here to our audience. We're gonna have a ton of people watch this live, as well as on downloads over the next few months and over the next couple of years here on Wake Up TV. Take a second to introduce you. I'm gonna start with a simple question, like I do every week with every single one of our guests. Who is Jimi Letchford? Who is Jimmy? Who is Jimmy?
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. Thanks for having me on, first off. I really appreciate it. Your stuff's amazing, and you always motivate me, and especially standing outside after everyone's falling to the ground. You're straight out doing your video right after the workout, so it motivates me. Yes, sir, just like that. First time, by the way, when I saw you out there, I'm like, who is this crazy guy out front dancing all around with the video camera?
It recruits a bunch of the people from the yoga studio. We had one or two come over now. They were like, who is this lunatic out there? I was like, you should come on over.
Exactly. They're like, someone needs help over there. Yeah, but no, thanks for having me on. A little bit about myself. I am one of the owners of CrossFit Ethos. My wife and I, we started the first box in Aliso Viejo, California, back in 2007. And we quickly grew out of that one into Laguna Beach, California. And grew out of that location and moved over to Laguna Hills. And if you know anything about the California areas and towns, cities, they're really, really close together, especially in Orange County. So at that point, we looked at like, hey, you know what? We should probably get rid of the city name and move to something that means a lot to us, which is Ethos, which kind of stands for, it does stand for character and community and the way you do and live your life. So that's the name there.
I got it. I love it. So I can see why me mispronouncing it over and over and over again can actually be quite offensive.
Yeah, it is kind of a play on words because you think about it, it's like it's a CrossFit ethos, it's a CrossFit way of life, it's a CrossFit community, but at the same time, it means something to us because over the years, some of our business has run us into just some hiccups into some people that might not do things as ethically as we like to. So it was just something that meant something to Madeline and I, and we chose the name. So that's kind of brought us to today and the CrossFit Ethos.
That's right, dude. And I'm telling you right now, CrossFit Ethos. From here on out, mark my words, I will call it CrossFit Ethos. Now that I have the context.
You're the man, Garrett.
All right, you got it. You got it. And dude, it's like daily promotion for the most amazing CrossFit gym I've actually been to. And I'm bullshitting you. Like, I've been to a lot of gyms. I get to travel quite a bit for business and programming and culture. And I mean, it's right there. The only place I would say probably comparable has been CrossFit Invictus, which was a really good experience for me too, down there. But you guys have it going on now. Interesting thing here. You guys, I mean. Let's back up. You got into CrossFit back before, knuckleheads like me saw videos on YouTube of Chris Spieler doing some stuff at the CrossFit Games. Talk to me about how did you venture into, let's even back up further, how did you venture into fitness? Like, how did fitness become something that even mattered to you?
Yeah, I was, like you, I had the opportunity and ability to I wrestled in college. I was a competitive wrestler. My old man got me into the sport at 4 years old, and I stayed in it, and I was getting recruited by several colleges, and I wanted to go to the Naval Academy in Annapolis. So I received a nomination to go to the Naval Academy, and I wrestled there. It was an amazing experience. So I was always very physical, very competitive. Through the years, through high school, and TOTS came, and there was never a season off. It was baseball, football, wrestling, and then when there was any kind of downtime in any of those seasons, it would be wrestling, freestyle, or traveling on a baseball team, or doing Olympic lifting for the football. So it was always something. So when I moved to the collegiate competition or the NCAA, it was nothing had changed. It was train in the morning, academics during the day, train in the evening, eat well, focus on the sport, focus on your academics, lather, rinse, repeat, and it was when I left the academy and I left the competitive wrestling, just scene, and went into the Marine Corps, I felt like there was a gap there. I felt like I'd left something behind, that competitive. I just didn't have any activation for that competition drive that I had since I was 4. So one of my Marines came up to me in 2005, I believe it was, or yeah, at 2004 or 5, the end of 2004, on one of our deployments. And he said, "Hey, sir, you got to check this stuff out, this CrossFit stuff. You're going to love this." And I had my Marines trained untraditionally as it was. You know, we were ground fighting and buddy carrying and just anything that wasn't traditional military PT, which is running and pull-ups and sit-ups and push-ups, is kind of how the military looks at PT for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, and I remember the first video I saw was a guy doing a bar muscle up on a jungle gym. It's this multicolored jungle gym. It was blue and green and yellow and red. And this guy just straight up did a strict pull-up and pushed himself up above the bar. And he didn't have a shirt on. I was like, holy cow. And I went out, tried to give it a try myself, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I tried one of the workouts. And next thing you know, I was hooked and tried to badger my wife to do the workouts with me, and she thought I was crazy because it's not something especially back at that time, wasn't something that you would see very often. So I'd be swinging things and jumping on things, and I was like, "Babe, you got to try this. It's awesome." And she's like, "You're a weirdo," you know. And I tried for months and months and months to get her to do it with me, and I just laid off of her. And before you knew it, about 2 months after laying off with her, she said, "Hey, babe, I'd like to do a workout with you." And after her first workout, she was hooked, and the family was hooked, and yeah, it was on after that. So you got into, now were you going to an actual gym, or were you guys had you guys like just like put concrete on the end of poles and did some stuff like what was the original game? Because most people experience CrossFit today, they roll up into an ice box, particularly if we come to one of your 2 gyms here in Southern California in Orange County. I mean, it's nice. I mean, bro, it's nice. Like, it's really nice in there. And what were you guys starting with? Yeah, no, it was a lot. I mean, especially on the deployments in Iraq and on some of the hardened, which are called forward operating bases, they're also known as FOBs. It was whatever you can get your hands on. So there wasn't much, so you just made do with what it was. I mean, a couple sets of dumbbells, bars like you talked about. There was concrete on some of those. You could carry ammo cans, but a lot of the situation that my units were in, you couldn't just exercise outside. You had to be inside a hardened compound, because we were out forward. Now there are some of the bases that have standoff for any kind of rockets or mortars or anything like that, so they had a little bit more facilities to do so. So back then it was just make and do with what you had. And then when you came back from deployment, we were just using the gyms on base, and they're traditional, Globo gyms, so just like a 24-hour fitness. And it kind of just started off as myself. I would do the workout, and I'd be lunging through the guys, doing bicep curls and tricep press downs, and I'd be lunging around and then run over to the pull-up bar and rip out a couple pull-ups, and then back to the lunging through there. Or on a run iteration, it would be going out the double sets of glass doors to the stop sign and then back and opening the double sets of glass doors back in. So, and then the next thing you know, it's like you'd have a friend like, "Hey, I want to try this," and then there'd be 2 guys, and then 5, and then 12, and 15, and then it got to the point where everyone was kind of bringing in their gear and doing it as just a group of buddies, and it was fun, and it was a lot of fun, and it was all grassroots, and I received a call just randomly at my office on base, and I happened to be in the room, and gentleman says, "Letchford, this is Colonel McGuire from Headquarters Marine Corps. We're taking a look at this CrossFit thing, and we'd like for you to go to a seminar. Would you be cool with that?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, sir, that's great." And I called my wife, and this is still at the time where she didn't do the CrossFit. This is in the badgering period.
Mm-hmm.
I said, babe, they're going to send me to a seminar at CrossFit. She's like, okay, let me get this straight. So you're in the field all week, and then you come home and you have to spend some time on the weekends with the family, but instead you're going to go on this CrossFit seminar on the weekend. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly right. She's like, sounds shitty. You know?
like a proper wife would say. So you knucklehead, how does that sound? You're like fired up in your brain going, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
It was really exciting. And I went and you know, and she supported me just like she did with anything. And I went to it and I came back and I kind of had an idea. I was just like, you know what? I really enjoy this. I better understood all the crazy things that I was doing and why I was seeing the gains and the excitement about my training and why I was feeling better, looking better, operating better as a Marine. I just felt great. And at that point, I met the owner. He was the one that did all the seminars. He talked at every single one of them. He did all the lectures, and he had a crew that would work on, you know, being the ones that did the demos and set up the workouts. And he said, "Hey, Jimmy, let's just keep in touch." And I was like, yeah, sounds good. And I had no aspirations of working for CrossFit or opening a gym, and I did. And we kept in touch and called me up 2-3 months later. He's like, I'd love for you to start training for me on my seminars. And like, no problem. And the rest was just kind of launched.
Dude, the build up to this is huge. I'm gonna back you up on a couple different things that I want you to emphasize. So let's come back to the fitness experience through college, because there's a lot of guys that, like me, that were college athletes that get into CrossFit. And CrossFit does something for me that only I experience in collegiate athletics, and yet it does more. Like sometimes I say, I'm like, man, if I could have gotten access to CrossFit as a mechanism when I was playing sports, actively hardcore in sports, man, it would have made a huge difference. But coming back on this, like, you're in college, you're doing the military thing, and you're doing the athlete experience. So fitness was part of the game. Talk to me about the connection for you with military and the experience of what you were doing in fitness as an athlete. Like, had you always seen those two? Was your family military? How did those two connect for you to end up there? Did you go there because that was where you got offered scholarship to wrestle, or what was the connection there for you?
Oh yeah, you know, that's a good question. My family wasn't military. My grandfather was in the Army in the Korean War, but it wasn't anything like, hey, I was a legacy and I needed to go into the military. It was my dad was a police officer. He's a retired police officer. He exposed me to the Naval Academy just through a father-son wrestling camp when I was super young. And at the time, there was a jet that sat outside the wrestling room. So at 8 years old, I was like, oh, this is great, this is cool, you know. I want to go to the school that has a jet that sits out of the wrestling room, you know. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just got excited about that, and that was my goal, being a young buck. But as I learned more and more growing up through middle school and high school about, hey, look, I get to serve my country. I get a great job when I come out of the academy. And for those that don't know, you don't pay to go to the Naval Academy or West Point or the Air Force Academy, but you owe them 5 years in the military afterwards. And at the time, I wanted to be a SEAL, Navy SEAL, for years. I mean, that was my goal. I get to come out of I get to wrestle in college, get a great education, come out with a great job, and I get to go hunt bad guys. I mean, what better gig is there, you know?
Right.
And that was something that I set my mind to. I was offered other scholarships, but I didn't see it as getting me to be where I wanted to be, which is, you know, to serve my country and go hunt bad guys with the education and the competition aspect. So I was focused all through high school to do that, you know, and into college. I mean, you know, being a competitive collegiate athlete it's extremely important for you to be physically fit and to be mentally centered so that you can compete, because the margins for excelling in the collegiate world they're just so small, so small. Mm-hmm. And you got to be on your game all the time.
So this connection for you military-wise, like, so this was a drive, both sides. And I noticed there's a huge I mean, it's pretty blatantly obvious. There's a huge connection between the military mindset at times and also just the military respect that's given to warriors in the military experience around the world, just within what CrossFit embodies, as well as extending that to police officers and firefighters and medical supply staff and people who are supporting the community. What have you seen there, both with your own connection to it, but what is the draw and the connection between the military and CrossFit and the police force and the fire department and all of these individuals? There's a ton of angle. A lot of the workouts and stuff are named after guys who have fallen in the military. What have you seen there coming from the beginning days of this? Why was there and why is there continue to be such a draw and a connection in those two conversations?
Right. You know, I mean, you know, there's a quick answer to that, and I'm going to give that to you in 1 second. But if you think about, look, the program works. You know that, Garrett, and anybody else out there that might be listening that does CrossFit, they know that it works. And that leads me to this point. You know, with a professional athlete, their livelihood depends on their fitness, right? They make their money based on how fit they are, how many touchdowns they can score, you know, or the biggest wave they can ride, and the sponsors they bring in and their endorsements and getting back on the field and signing their deal again, right? But with the military or the front line, tip of the spear, trigger puller, active duty, nonstop police officer, firefighter, EMT, any of those public servant types, their life depends on their fitness. And that's the big determining factor. I mean, that's the big factor that changes the difference on how you can look at the importance of fitness. Does that make sense? So, look, if you're not fit when you get on target after you've run after the enemy for 2 miles, whether it's an enemy or a suspect, your game starts right then and there. So if you're gassed or you're tired or you can't focus or you're not ready to respond when you get on target, that's really where it's the most dangerous part. So take, for example, a police officer chasing a criminal with a knife, right? They're on foot, they're hopping fences, they're jumping over bushes, they fall, they're up again, they're around, you know, they have a tangle, the guy gets away again, chasing them a little bit more, another couple fences, they're sprinting, police officer has all his gear on, he finally tackles the enemy and the guy has a knife. That's where his fitness is most important, because that determines whether he might, you know, come out alive or dead. And I think that anybody that's in that situation or might be in that situation understands the gravity of why they need to be in such good shape, and CrossFit provides them with that. And it provides them with not only the physical but the mental toughness it takes to be ready for anything. And that's what we do in CrossFit. We train for the unknown and unknowable, and that helps us in so many different aspects, whether it's on the job or in the gym or on the athletic field or inside our home, you know, or inside of our business. We're okay with some of the situations that we might not normally be okay with because we've been through hardship, or we put ourselves through hardship in different ways and different angles, and we train when we're tired, and we train when we're hungry, or we train on a full stomach or in a bad mood. You know, but we're doing it to ourselves to make ourselves better. You know, does that make sense?
Totally. So this connection, I mean, you paint it, this makes total sense to me. I mean, you think about it, with fitness is your life. And when I heard you say that, you know, when you're in a profession where your livelihood and your life, period, your sustainability of life is determined based upon your level of fitness, and the way you painted that out, chasing down the bad guy, chasing down the enemy, get there, you know, the image that came to my mind was chasing my daughter, who's running down the road from me because she's not listening to her mom, and they're in a battle, and she tells mom to screw off and runs down the road. Wife looks at me and says, and now I'm off, and I'm running down the road, being able to be present with my daughter once I get there instead of gassed. Now this was my thought I started going to, because I was like, wow, you know, how does this relate to day to day? And I get a lot of people looking at me at CrossFit because I'm such an advocate for what we do with CrossFit, and I say we because, like, I've drank the Kool-Aid. And people are like, well, dude, you're this. I'm like, no, hell no. I've tried a lot of stuff and I advocate this like crazy. I'm not my first rodeo working out, and I've never been in better shape at 37, hitting 38 here in a month or two. Never been in better fitness in my entire life than I am right now training underneath your protocols and going through this process with CrossFit. So let me ask you this. What is the connection to, so we got like the military, we've got the police, we've got the EMTs, we've got the individuals whose lives are on the line, at least the way they see it. We've got athletes looking at CrossFit. I mean, at the gym this morning at the box there in Ladera Ranch, with the whole softball team from San Diego State showed up. Yeah. Was training out behind the gym, and there, I mean, we got the athletes happening at your gym. Talk to me about the 95%, 98%, probably even higher than. I mean, hell, like people, my friends are knuckleheads. They'll email me like, dude, sir, you're going to be in the games? I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Let me tell you little something. I'm going to continue to need to sustain my game with this iPhone because the chance of me getting into games is about zero. So right. To guys like me and everybody else where the CrossFit Games is not a deal, like in your mind, why CrossFit? Because 98% of the people coming through your gyms and through every CrossFit gym across the globe right now are not elite athletes, but we're all training for something more. So in your experience having run this, like what is the message to some? We're going to get a lot of people watch this who are not part of CrossFit, and this can be the one that pushes them over the edge. Hell, even people here in Orange County. What does CrossFit in your experience do for the mom with 3 children who has been rocking the Zumba class and the glider at 24, no problem with it, got it, now comes to CrossFit, or the guy who's the entrepreneur, he's overweight, you know, he's 35, and he's like, you know, I had this exact question from a guy this morning knowing about this show. He's like, well, dude, you know, I'm like 70 pounds overweight. Should I go work out before I go to CrossFit? He's like, should I go train for a year so that I'm ready for CrossFit? Like, I get a lot of people asking me this, dude, I need to be like in shape because they see the dudes with the freaking ripped 22 packs, you know, lifting up the 220-pound dumbbells. What's the message to the average person about CrossFit, since, I mean, legitimately, it's 99% of the client base are not these individuals that we've just talked about.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 99% might be even low. You know, I mean, to just touch on the games real quick. The games are, you know, it's the proving ground for our fitness program. You know, we have the fittest athletes on the earth, and there's 60 men and 60 female that make it there, and 65 per 6-person teams. You know, so all in all, there might be 500 or 600 athletes at the CrossFit Games. We'll probably near 200,000 athletes that start the CrossFit Games this year. Mm-hmm. So who knows how many CrossFitters out there? 20 million, 40 million? We really don't know. We just kind of take a guess at that. But you know, the truth is that, look, I'm a husband, I'm a father of 3. You know, I'm a former competitive athlete. You know, I love to surf. I love to be outdoors. You know, you know, I'm a business owner. You know, what I've experienced from CrossFit is that it just makes better people. It makes us better. You know, and to the person that's not really sure whether they want to get involved, everything's relative to that person. Now, what do I mean by that? Look, the gentleman that might be 70 pounds overweight, what his gains are going to be completely relative to him, right? So if his goal is to lose 35 pounds, that's first off, that's completely achievable, you know, and that might be different than someone that wants to rehab a knee or wants to get better energy levels or increase their libido, because that happens as well. If someone wants to dial in their nutrition and their husband and the husband and wife are looking to get pregnant, the CrossFit will help you do that. It'll get your hormones level there. I mean, there's all kinds of relative gains, but what I'm getting at is that CrossFit's a lifestyle program. You know, it's not about getting to the CrossFit Games. It's about making us better at what we are, whether it's a husband, wife, be a better father, be a better employee, be better cyclist or surfer, or I want to lose 70 pounds, I want to lose 100 pounds. I mean, there's not a lot of gyms nowadays that don't have 100-pound weight losses. You know, so my point in all this rant here was that CrossFit, and 99.9% of the people that walk through the doors are out of shape, you know, or they're not at games caliber. They're not the ones that have 22-pack abs. They're not the ones throwing crazy weights over their head with heavy metal on and have endorsement deals. They're just everyday soccer moms and businessmen and guys that are just really, really enjoy making themselves better and feeling good and getting fit. I mean, Garrett, you see it. Look at all the new people that are in CrossFit Ethos right now. They're normal, you know, just great people that are looking for a community aspect. They're looking for some new motivation and an exciting workout. And the gains that they've seen since January 1st, the new resolution people, they're huge. We just finished our fitness challenge, and we had 55 people, all that have dropped over 3% body fat, and I don't even know the numbers at this point of how many pounds they've lost, but they're all just like, I feel so much better. And they're not looking to go to the games. They just want to hug everybody and say, this is the greatest thing, and I'm never leaving Ethos. Because think about how many fitness programs that have been started and stopped, you know, every year. How many nutrition programs started and stopped. We look at our fitness as it's just a low trajectory on a distant horizon. It's way out there, and we're going to go get it, but we're going to take our time doing it. I need to be excited about my training today. I need to eat well today, and I need to be excited about doing it again tomorrow. And that it can't be something that's hard for me to do. It needs to be fun and exciting. So along. I mean, I'll give you kudos on this because I've seen this at your box every single day. I go 5 days a week. You know, people are like, how many days should you do CrossFit? I was like, listen, I do CrossFit 5 days a week, and then I train another 2 or 3 times, 4 times a week for Ironman that I'm doing this summer. But this has been my big goal, is to figure out, can I replace a 40% workload with what my training typically is for Ironman with what I do with CrossFit, and I've noticed this huge transition for me. But it's fun for me to be in there in the morning simply because the people, everybody's so damn normal. Like, we're all like, we're just like normal people. People think I'm like not normal, so I get maybe I'm the freak on the block who gets to hang out and run around and yell at his cell phone every morning. But there's a total transition. Now, there's one phrase, and I remember when I went to CrossFit Level 1 Cert, like, I got it. Like, people were like, why do you CrossFit? Like, why are you such a freaking passionate dude about this? And I was like, God, I don't know. It just, like, it changed who I am. And they said, well, why do you CrossFit? And I said, I CrossFit for power. Like, every morning I CrossFit to access power. Now, your programming happens to be, I don't know how it works for everybody else's, but at least the people I'm around training in the gym every morning, and myself, is phenomenal, our programming for the way we rock it. Now, a phrase that was used there was functional fitness. Yeah. Right.
Functional fitness, and I'd love for you to talk about that for a second. I'm gonna have you go offline here. Let me put one little plug before we do that. But this idea of functional fitness. So be thinking on that here for a second. For all of our viewers who are watching right now, we're about halfway through our show today. If you have not taken a chance to download the free Wake Up Warrior app, I'd invite you to head on over to iTunes or the Google Play Store. Type in simply the words Wake Up Warrior. You'll download a simple app onto your phone. This app is going to give you access to shows and the on-demand recordings of these TV episodes every week, our M3 radio show on business that we do every single week, as well as Sunday sermon, daily rants, and all the crazy little morning wake-up WOD videos I do. We've been getting listenerships on those in the thousands upon thousands every week from all over the world, particularly CrossFit individuals who are using it as an extension of having an even bigger conversation about CrossFit, which we're going to move into here with Jimmy and talk about the effects of how CrossFit in your body actually impacts the rest of your world, including your mind. So if you haven't picked that app up, head on over to the iTunes or Google Play Store. Pick that up today for free as a gift from us here at Wake Up Warrior Academy. So, Jimmy, let me come back to you again with this functional fitness concept. I didn't get this. I mean, I had trained as an elite athlete, and we still, I would not say, based upon how I understand it today, I was not a functionally fit guy, which seems so mind-bending for me to even say this. You know, I had friends of mine that were ultra-marathoners who were making fun of the CrossFit Games as being the most fit individuals. And I'd look at them, I'm like, dude, well, A, you're soft as Jell-O from about hips up. I was like, B, like being able to run your ass really far, I get it. I did 188 miles solo by myself, 48 hours of running, no sleep. So I've been there. I can give a huge respect for what they've done. But this was the phrase that kept coming back to him, which was, dude, CrossFit is about functional fitness, which I had never experienced until I'd come to CrossFit. So go off on this for a second and help. I mean, you were there at the origins working with Glassman, and I know you're really close with him, and you were part of a lot of the big impact that's happened with CrossFit as a culture across the globe now, including the games. Talk about this. What is functional fitness? If I'm watching the show, which we get a lot of male entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs from around the world that watch Wake Up TV on download with this and live, and they're going to be asking the same question. What the hell is this functional fitness idea?
Yeah, I mean, functional, we define functional as being, something that we're going to find in life. Okay, so it's something that we'll see in the household, on the job site, on the, anywhere that you are doing work, in a physics sense. That's really what, if we see those functional movements, that's where they go down. So, for example, on the job site, so you're passing a construction zone, you're not going to see guys bicep curling concrete bags, or doing dumbbell flies. Yeah, exactly, or flying bricks, you don't find that. They're not, but you will find them deadlifting a concrete bag up, or pressing something up onto scaffolding, or in the house you might find a mom putting a box up onto a shelf, or picking up her baby in a deadlift position. You'll find in a nursing home, you'll find an old person coming to the standing position out of a chair. That's a squat. So these movements are something that we're going to see every day in life. All these weird movements that the modern day gym literally invented to actually bodybuild, okay, in the sense of, maybe I need to put some little bit of muscle up here on this anterior, shoulder cap, or these flies and the things that we have to buckle ourselves into the seat and put the pin in, where the exercise machine does all the work, and the balance and the everything that we need that does the movement for us. Those aren't functional movements. What we do in CrossFit is anything in a physics sense that actually puts out power, okay? Power in a force times distance over time kind of power in a physics sense. Those are the movements that we do. Now, it's kind of weird, and you really have to think about it, but my 100-pound wife, okay, can elicit way more power than any 250-pound bodybuilder can. Now, and I'm talking on movements. So if a bodybuilder puts 200 pounds onto a barbell and is curling it, over the amount of time, I guarantee my wife can air squat the hell out of that. So if my wife, who is 100 pounds, is moving 2 feet up and down, okay, in an air squat. So picture her. She's in a standing position. She lowers 2 feet down and stands back up. That's 1 repetition, and she goes at a rate as fast as she can. At 100 pounds, she can elicit a lot more power than a bodybuilder taking 200 pounds and moving it 1.5 feet can, because her ability to actually do that is way more than the bodybuilder has with a 200-pound barbell. Okay, so her ability to elicit a lot more power is a lot higher. So these functional movements are something that are safe, they're effective, we find them in life, we find them on the job site, and they elicit lots and lots of power. So that's like how we define functional, because there's all kinds of definitions out there in the fitness world about functional fitness, functional fitness, functional fitness. It's standing on a BOSU ball and balancing. We don't find that in life. We don't really have to do that. That's not functional, or, buckling yourself into a machine and letting the machine do all the work for you. That's not functional. Leg curls, leg extensions, you never find that in life. You never find the hamstring having to curl up weight like that, or your knee to have to extend out weight. Those things never are isolated. ever. The bicep is never isolated. All our movements, functional movements, always compound, meaning that it goes from core to extremity. Okay, so if you can think of a bicep curl and then think of a movement that actually isolates the elbow against your body and then has you curl weight up, you can't. I've heard guys go, oh, well, no, maybe drinking a beer is. No, you actually put your shoulder into drinking a beer too. So that's a little more functional.
But yeah, try to take you down with the beer drink. You're like, dude, you can't even get me on beer drinking. Functional fitness supports you in your beer drinking.
Exactly.
As many rounds as possible. 10 minutes.
Right.
Go.
Right. That's
so,
right.
Dude, here, now along this line, I mean, I didn't realize how much, because I came into CrossFit because I was looking for something new. And I also understood this. My mom came up to me, it was years back, and she gave me a hug and she said, oh, things must be going really well for you right now. And I thought, well, what do you mean, Mom? And my mom and I are really close. And she said, well, here's what I know. Every time that you're fit, I don't question or worry about where you're at spiritually. I don't tend to worry about how things are going on for you in life, because when you're fit, you access this deep level power that you tend to transfer the rest of your life. When you start to become unfit is when I start to get worried. And I was like, wow, I didn't recognize this. And so when I came into CrossFit, I was looking for something new to engage a result that wasn't actually fitness. Like, I wasn't actually looking to come in and be fit for fit's sake. Like, it wasn't like, okay, I just want to be fit for fit's sake. My wife and I were having this conversation 2 days ago. A couple of our friends are bodybuilders, and they're 3 months on. They're shredded as hell. And then 9 months out of the year, they're not so shredded. Yeah. And my wife was making the comment. She said, there's no way in hell, talking about our friend. She's amazing. I mean, she's ripped as hell. She's got a show next month. And my friend, and I'm impressed that she's been able to pull this up. But my wife said one thing in the car driving that was interesting, and then I'm going to have you go off on this too, is she can't sustain that. Eating like that and working out like that is not only not functional, but it's unsustainable. Now, people have said the same thing about CrossFit to me, and they like to use my Achilles tendon tear as an excuse. I've had people try to use me as a case study for why CrossFit doesn't work, and I'm like, oh my hell, they're the last person in the world. I was like, that was all on me. You are very, very, very focus-oriented in CrossFit, understanding that we're not talking about getting somebody on a glider or, bungee strapping them into a leg extension machine, of which they might flip over and accidentally do bicep curls on the leg curl machine, which is always funny. But they're coming in, and you guys put a really big focus on mechanics, like foundational mechanics. And truth is, in my original gyms I started in, this was not the case. It just wasn't there. So what would you say to individuals who are very big critics of CrossFit as a culture, and just a wide diversity? It goes, I know it doesn't happen in our gym, and the program that you guys do and the trainers you have are very different. But in your space with you, why is the foundations experience of a new person coming to CrossFit so important, and why is there such an emphasis on mechanics? Like, I was blown away. We do more mechanical practice, skill set work every single day than I was probably doing in 2 weeks at CrossFit. At some of the other gyms that I used to work out with. But what are your thoughts? Because this is all over your website. It's all over is this emphasis and this focus, and I've experienced it live in person. Why this foundation of such hardcore, basic, simple mechanics and skill sets?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you recognize that too, Garrett, because we really at Ethos especially, because I've been around to a lot of gyms and everything, and I've taken a lot of good things that I've seen out of the wonderful gyms. I mean, we had at CrossFit HQ, man, there's probably nearing 9,000 gyms globally. So you get to see some of these great coaches are out and about. But how important we emphasize movement as being everything. You have to have perfect proficiency before we throw in the intensity factor, and that's extremely important with anything in life, truthfully. But especially with CrossFit. We really, really want to make sure that you move well before we start throwing in any kind of intensity and start ratcheting it up. Because number one, like you said, anything that we do, like the bodybuilders, we want CrossFit, and especially the CrossFit Ethos programming, to be very, very sustainable. We need the people to get through the day, be excited to come back, and tell their friends and bring those friends in and say, look, this has changed my life, and I want you to be a part of what I'm a part of. We need that, you know, as a business, but that's the best way to affect somebody in a positive manner. If we just brought them in, threw them to the wolves, truth is that excuse my language, but any asshole can make a hard workout. Any asshole. Pick something that's hard and throw a bunch of other hard things in together with it. That's a recipe for hurting somebody. That's not what we're looking to do. We need to get someone moving proficiently and then start ratcheting up the intensity so that they see the gains that you're seeing. So our coaching is very, very tuned into that. We will not, and we have meetings on this on a daily basis about individuals just saying, like, look, this person needs this, and there's email threads back and forth. Hey, so-and-so needs to do this better, and we're going to work with them on that. So with CrossFit and with any sport, you're not going to, if you're starting skateboarding and you never skateboarded before, I'm not going to send you into a half-pipe park, you know, with a bunch of pros, right? If you're learning the surf, if you've never been up on the board, you're not going to go out the Mavericks and try to charge one of the 30-foot waves. Pick any sport. If you've never put on a football helmet, I'm surely not going to throw you on the Alabama field as a practice partner. You know, you need to work up to the things that before you're ready, you need to go through all the steps that are required to get to the point. Hey, if you've never surfed a 5-foot wave, surf a 5-foot wave. When you've perfected the 5-foot wave, move to the 8-foot wave. Move to a bigger board. Move to the 15-foot wave, and when you've perfected that, maybe you can start surfing the Mavericks wave, right? That's an analogy to, look, when you've perfected the air squat, then maybe we'll put a little bit of weight on you, and maybe you can do a back squat. But until you've perfected the back squat, you're not going to be loaded. That's extremely important in CrossFit, and anybody that's going to dive right in or get involved with CrossFit needs to understand you need to scale things for yourself, or you're going to end up injuring yourself.
Big time.
Yeah,
Dude, I love it. Well, and the thing that is so interesting to me is that being part of CrossFit and looking at my body, I was looking for something that was sustainable. Because the way I saw it is I was like, listen, when my body's fit and I'm on fire, and the part I love about training, particularly with your staff and for training with your gym and the way that you guys write things up and just the intensity of the culture is I get 2 activations every single morning. I get a physical activation between skill set, strength work, and met burn. And I like the combination of a skill set, strength, and met burn. Those 3 like light my body on fire. And the second piece is it lights my mind on fire. Like there's a focus and an intensity that comes for me after I leave that workout that transitions into the rest of life. So when people are like, well, dude, you should do CrossFit or you shouldn't do CrossFit, I'm like, listen, you get to do CrossFit to be functionally fit because your life is functional.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love what what your mom touched on is so like such a motherly instinct or whatever, but that's such a good point, Garrett, because you talked about like, hey, I know that you're in a good state of mind because you look fit, all right? And like you can look at that both anecdotally and then scientifically or biologically, right? Anecdotally is like, look, if you're fit, you're feeling good about yourself, you're feeling confident, you're taking care of yourself. You're saying to yourself, I care about me, I'm making me a priority, I'm making it so that you know, Garrett, you personally know that when you're taking care of yourself, you're a better father. You're more patient with your kids and your wife, and nothing can really affect you in the same way as when you're not. If you're not eating well and you're not training and you're just like, you know what, you're just a little bit more irritable. Okay, anecdotally, that's one side. But we know, especially from high-intensity functional movement, that the things that your body elicits from these movements and these workouts are things that center you. They increase your energy levels. They increase your focus. These are facts. These are not just straight up like, hey, I'm telling you this, you should believe me. These are facts. And then you do a little bit of research and you can find this. You know, you're triggering all the good hormones in your body to burn fat. You're triggering the hormones in your body to be more patient, and to take on more. You are way more centered when you're working out and you're exercising at a high intensity level. So what your mom saw is so spot on. It's so spot on.
Well, and the thing I see that's so interesting too, when I watch oh my God, like there's some, I want people to experience this, because what we experience at CrossFit Ethos is like, it's different. Like, I love watching, particularly I love watching the women come in. And it's not like a thing like sexual for me. I'm like, oh yes, can't wait for the women to come in at CrossFit, because I watch these women walk in that class with me every single morning at 6:30, and the most of the same girls are coming in, women come in. I'm watching them getting leaner, and I'm watching them fit. But here was the piece that I saw. Coming with the program and the training and the way the game is rolled out is there is a confidence and a personal certainty that they do not find coming out of Zumba. Some, I'm sure, have, but they weren't finding it there. They weren't finding it in Bikram yoga. They weren't finding it going to the body combat class at 24-Hour Fitness or Gold's Gym, which all of these things can be great. But they weren't finding the activation of power. So in your world, and as you're teaching this and you're seeing this in your methodology for training, I guess I would ask you this, in this power conversation, how have you, as not just a businessman, so you're an entrepreneur, plus you are a fitness trainer, teacher, leader in fitness and food, plus you're a father. How do you find that working out and training gives you the power to do all of this? Because it's one thing if you're a single guy, no kids, no wife, and you're running a couple gyms, right? You're running a couple boxes. Yep. You're like, hey, what's up? I got single buddies of mine. They're mid-30s, running their empires. Guys, I love you. I love you. These principles of fitness still apply to you, but we get a lot of guys and a lot of women who follow what we're doing here at the Wake Up Warrior movement, who are trying to figure out how to have it all. And I believe, and I'm psychotic about this, that CrossFit is for the bang for the buck that gives you the greatest amount of power you could ever find. But in your world, how do you juggle this game? You and your wife are business partners. You got kids. You're running gyms. You're an entrepreneur. You're rising up with the whole game you got going on with CrossFit Corporate. I mean, all of this, what do you do as an entrepreneur to stay centered amidst all of this chaos?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that and in fact, I've learned this from Greg Glassman, my boss at CrossFit Corporate, and it sounds really general, but if you really think about it, it's not. We personally, if I just go for excellence, right, wherever it is, the rest of the good stuff will find me. So in the business world, or a CrossFit Ethos, if we pursue excellence, the money will come. I didn't open CrossFit because I thought it'd be great. It would be a great business and it would bring in tons and tons of money. Because when we opened CrossFit, our first CrossFit box, there weren't CrossFits around. I did it because I loved it, and I did it because it was enjoyable. So, and over the years we've tried to do what's just pursue the excellence, and the rest of the good stuff will end up following us. So if I can do that in all aspects of the life, so if I just try to be better, be a better father, and be a better entrepreneur, and be better like athlete slash fitness kind of guy, all the good stuff will come with that. So a lot of people are like, hey, how do you juggle it all? I do it because you just love it. I love my family. I love CrossFit. I love being fit. I love how I feel, and when I do that, when I do those things, it's really easy to have a pot that's ready to boil over, because it's just stuff, it's ready to boil over with stuff that I love. So I don't really have like any kind of advice other than, just like, for me, it's just be excellent at whatever you do and really enjoy doing it. I wouldn't search for anything other outside of that, And it's this great cycle too, because if there's somebody out there right now that's listening and is just like, how do I get involved? How do I get into that circle? You just got to do it. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to jump in, and the rest will come. You'll start feeling better. You'll start doing more. You'll start finding great things about yourself that help you in all other aspects of your life. You know, and I think what you're seeing in the morning, Garrett, we see that all the time with women, because in some cases they might not be completely empowered, and when they do, watch out. Watch out, husbands, watch out. Job site needs to watch out, because they are on. And I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but that's probably the best answer I have for you.
Dude, not a tangent. I'm the king of extraction of lessons from what people say. So there were three things I heard you say. Number one, that it has to be something that my translation, you give a shit about.
Yeah.
Like you actually give a shit about doing it. The second thing is, it's not just like you give a shit about it or you feel called to it or love it. It's that your pursuit is excellence.
Yes.
Right? Like, and let's talk about this for a second. I know we're coming to the end of the show. We're going to go over a few minutes, and that's okay. Because I want to be able to drive home these points, because this one is, excellence is the have-it-all mentality that we're preaching here as part of the Wake Up Warrior movement. Is you can have it all in your body, in your beingness, in your spirituality, in the balance of your marriage and your family relationships, and in your business. That you can have all this at the same time. Talk to me about this perception of excellence, because that was my experience. I mean, I walked into your CrossFit gym at CrossFit Ethos and our Ethos, and I came in and I said, you know, my goodness, I like, it was everything from the way that the trainers were dressed, to the gym, to the cleanliness, to the formatting, to the walls, to the energy, to the experience. I mean, there wasn't an area, to the chalk. I mean, to the damn chalk bucket. Everything was like a pursuit of excellence. Why did this become a natural standard for you in building out your gyms? And it sounds to me, and having been around you, it sounds to me a standard for building out your life. And this didn't just start yesterday. Talk to me about why this is so crucial, this pursuit of excellence, and the profits will follow when you pursue excellence.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, number one, I really want to reiterate my proximity to Greg Glassman has really helped me with this, you know, because I've seen him do this on such a grander scale with CrossFit. Is like, there have been so many little, just little carrots and rabbit holes we could have run down over the years, but his core, sticking to the core competencies of what we're good at has been the reason for our success. We haven't gone into crazy, never got involved with gear. You know, so many people call us up, hey, we want to license out the CrossFit name, or why don't you sell gear? We'll help you sell gear. It's just like, that's not what we're about. We're the training program, you know. So staying focused on that has really been our success, and that's really helped me at the CrossFit Ethos level, at the very least, right, is that, look, you said it yourself. You come in, we're such sticklers on movement. And you know, you've probably seen all the other CrossFit gyms, we're not the cheapest around, you know? And we want people that want to be better. We want people that are going to pursue excellence and recognize what excellence is. So from every single aspect of the things that we do, in the training and the facility and our coaches and the way we interact with people, it's extremely important for us to be the best, so that not only is it a value to our customers, but so that, like, you know, it's something that we can continue to build on. It's something that our community will respect and see, and you know, that right there has been super effective for our business model. Now on my personal side, it's just like, once you start tasting a little excellence, once you start going for it, and once you don't accept just being mediocre, it's a habit. It's something that's it's something that, like, you get a taste of, and you have to have more, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you can understand that and you do it in a completely, I believe, this is personal, you know, this is Jimmy talk here, but, you know, if you do it in a humble kind of way, you're personally trying to make yourself better, you're personally trying to excel, and you're not in the world of trying to step on people to do so, there's just so many great things that come from that. And you know, and you can do it in all aspects of life. You know what I mean? There's so many different things where you can put it and you can just look at things that you're doing just inside the home or inside your marriage or inside of your job, or you pick it, pick your poison, put it there, and you realize that, like, wow, I'm doing things better than, there's an easy way, and then there's the way that is right. We just redid our garage, for example. My wife and I just redid our garage. We put a little garage gym inside, right? And man, we came to one of those moments at the end. We were laying down flooring, and we had already done the garage 3 weeks ago, and we put down all these closets, and it was perfectly beautiful on one side. A refrigerator, everything was flush and everything, and we were laying down the rubber matting, and the rubber matting, as wide as it was, we could have just decided not to put down the rubber matting, or we could spend a couple hours unloading every single one of those cabinets that we put up. Unload the refrigerator, move it, unplug it. We had to pull everything on top of the matting that we had just done, okay? We did it. We laid down the matting. We cut it perfectly, and now starts the put the cabinets back, put everything back into place, put the refrigerator back, reload it, plug it back in, make sure everything's flush. And I'll tell you what, it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass, and I was a little frustrated when we decided we needed to do that, right? But I'll tell you what, the point of the story is right now, it looks amazing out there. And it's perfect. We're never going to have to ever do it again. And there's an easy way out. We just left it half-assed the way it was, but instead we decided we wanted to do it. Now it's a little translation into, like, look, take it to the next level every opportunity you have, right? Be excellent at anything you do, whether it's waking up your kids and tickling them and singing them a song where you can just go, get up, get your ass moving, we're late, you know what I mean? Like, it's just everything, every little moment that you have to be better, do it. And I guarantee it's something that's contagious to others, and it's going to be something that you can really reflect on with yourself, that just takes you to places you've never been before. That's my soapbox.
Man. Well, those are some really good thoughts. They're not just really good. Those are like a powerful teaching platform that you could teach across any concept, which really, in my experience of having been around you and being at your gym and ultimately being here in my experience of CrossFit with you guys as a family, here in what my daily routine is, from what you guys are watching on the wake up WOD videos that I do for my phone, I am doing it from Jimmy's gyms every single morning. Some people are like, well, is that your gym? And I was like, no, CrossFit Ethos is my gym. CrossFit Ethos, on the other hand, is Jimmy's gym. You can find that out at CrossFitEthos.com. CrossFit Ethos is actually a cardboard box out in the dumpster behind CrossFit Ethos. So, yeah, if you want to come to my gym, it's right behind. We're swiping it. Sounds really close. CrossFit Ethos in the back. Yeah, and it's not long. It's been officially burned down. Jimmy burned it down. We're now fully converted to saying the gym correctly. I started screwing around and kept saying it that way forever. But, brother, I want to say one thing to you as we wrap up for a show today, which is this. Thank you. And not just thank you for being here on this particular show here. I know we'll be able to use this as an asset to support individuals, more individuals coming to participate and work out with us in person with you and me and the rest of the group there, and the family that we built. But also, I just want to thank you as an entrepreneur for being willing to put your family on the line and to put your life on the line years before I came into Ladera Ranch, California, so that I could have an opportunity every single morning to serve my family, to serve my clients, to serve the world, and to serve and live my calling by having a place every morning that I can show up to and train with excellent programming, amazing culture that ultimately lights me on fire. So I'm telling you thank you as one entrepreneur to another, and for all the rest of you who may never tell you thank you for doing it, but really meant to say it and didn't. Thank you very much for what you've done, and I appreciate it. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and all of the small little details, I love them, and I acknowledge it, and I appreciate it. And there's no place I'd rather send money every single month than send it to your gym for the opportunity that it gives me. So,
yeah,
so thank you. Go ahead, man. Any last thoughts you got for us as we kind of wrap up today, either on fitness or on body or just ways of living or this idea that you stand for with ethos and anything in this nature, anything to kind of finish us off today?
Yeah, no, honestly, first off, I'd want to thank you, Garrett, for having me on. I mean, what you're doing and how you make people better and help them make themselves better, more importantly, is something that's completely noteworthy. And it's really, I'm super excited that you walked into CrossFit Ethos and are a part of our community now, because you're affecting people's lives on a daily basis, and you're sending the CrossFit message out to people, and it's just completely in line with what you're up to. So I appreciate that. And my only parting words, and I'll get back on my soapbox again, is just, in a lot of cases, it's just doing the right thing, and doing the right thing is getting up and taking care of yourself and eating well and training well, but it's also doing the right thing at every opportunity you have, whether it's in the business world, because I really, really do feel like those things come back to you in spades in this life or the next, for sure. So every opportunity you have, and you just kind of, take a look at something that's going on at that moment, and just like, hey, what's the right thing to do, and do it. And if you do that, then everything's going to happen, and for the good. So that's my part and shot. And
Awesome.
Man, I was so excited to be on here. So thanks so much.
You got it, brother. So for those who are coming in town here to Orange County and you're looking for a CrossFit gym to come work out, I know a lot of you watching are traveling entrepreneurs, come to Southern California quite a bit. It's worth the drive up from San Diego, down from LA, or if you happen to be staying in God's paradise, we call the Garden of Eden, Orange County, we'll come on down to CrossFitEthos.com. 2 different locations. Both gyms are amazing. I train there. A bunch of our friends train there. Would love to have you guys there with us. And if you're not here in town, but you're just somewhere around the world and you're watching this video, you deserve to give yourself the gift of giving a shot at CrossFit as one of the ways of taking your body on so that you can have it all. Remember, as we wrap up today's show, that simply this, that every single week here on Wake Up TV, we're sending one message and one message only. It's the same message across the board, across all of the conversations that we have, from the radio to the TV shows to the blogs to the events to the books to everything else we put out, is simply this. You have been called to wake up. You have been called to have it all. And having it all is not simply experiencing a small amount of life in one area. It's experiencing, as Jimmy has painted for us today, excellence as a commitment, as a habit, and as a way of living to have it all across body, being, balance, and business. Next week, as we jump into our next episode, we'll have Jesse Elder on to talk about beingness and the conversation of meditation and how that applies into what we've learned here today with Jimmy, going deeper into the fitness game. So for those who have not checked out the Wake Up Warrior app, again, this is the simplest place to get access to 100% of the content, 100% of the time that we're throwing down here with the Wake Up Warrior movement. Head on over to the iTunes or Google Play Store and check out that app today. Download it for free under Wake Up Warrior. And again, if you're here in Orange County and you're looking for an amazing place to work out and experience some greatness with my main man, Jimmy, check it out at CrossFitEthos.com. CrossFitEthos.com was burned down during the making of this TV show. Yes, it was a cardboard box out behind CrossFitEthos.com. So, guys, have a great rest of your day. Garrett White signing off, reminding you that power in today's marketplace and modern-day warrior comes down to the simple formula of authenticity. Be real, get raw, and stay relevant with a ruthless commitment to creating big-ass results today.